Method Prayer by Madame Guyon. Chapter 12. 1. Another and more exalted degree of prayer, the prayer of the simple presence of God. All of active contemplation, which were little is said, the subject being reserved for another treatise. 2, 3, 4. How selfish activity emerges here in the acting lively, full, abundant, divine, easy, and as it were, natural. A state for different from that idleness and passivity, objected to by the opponent's inner life, the subject illustrated by several comparisons. 5. Transition to infused prayer, in which the fundamental, vital activity of the soul is not lost, but is more abundant and powerfully influenced that are the faculties by that of God. 6. The facility with this method of coming to God, that extortion to self-abandonment. The soul that is faithful in the exercise of love and adherence to God, as above described, it is astonished to feel Him gradually taking possession of the whole being, and enjoys a continual sense of Zen presence, which becomes, as it were, natural to it. And this, as well as prayer, becomes a matter of habit. It feels unusual serenity gradually diffusing itself over its faculties. Silence now constitutes its whole prayer, while God communicates an infused love, which is the beginning of ineffable blessedness. Oh, that I were permitted to pursue this subject that describes some degree of the endless progression of subsequent states. But I now write only for beginners, and I shall therefore proceed no farther, but wait our Lord's time for developing what may be applicable to every state. Let's see the footnotes. That the state is designed subsequently carried out in the work entitled The Torrents, and less diffusely in the concise way followed by the present treatise. And okay, there are not two books basically. 2. We must, however, urge it as a matter for the highest import to see self-action, the self-exertion that God Himself may act alone. He says, by the mouth of the prophet David, be still and know that I am God. Psalm 47. I think it's 46 here. Okay, 10, 47, no, 47, okay. But the center is so infatuated with love and attachment to its own working, and it does not believe that it works at all, unless it can fail, know, and distinguish all its operations. It is ignorant that its inability mutually to observe the manner of its motion is occasioned by the swiftness of its progress, and that the operations gone, the bonding more and more absorb those of the creature, just as we see that the stars shine brightly before the sun rises, but gradually vanish as the light advances and become invisible, not from want of light in themselves, but from the excess of it in Him. The case similar here, for there is a strong and universal light, which absorbs all the little distinct lights of the soul, to grow faint and disappear. On its powerful influence, the self-activity is now no longer distinguishable. 3. Those great errors which accuse this pearl for inactivity, a charge that can only arise from inexperience, or if they would but make some effort towards the attainment of it, would soon become full of light and knowledge in relation to it. This appearance of inaction is indeed not the consequence of sterility, but of abundance, as what we clearly perceive by the experienced soul, who will recognize that the silence is full and unctuous by reason of plenty. 4. There are two kinds of people that keep silence. The one because they have nothing to say. The other because they have too much. The latter is the case in this state. Silence is occasioned by excess and not by defect. To be drowned and to die of thirst, this is widely different. Yet the water may be said to be the cause of both. Abundance destroys in one case, and want in the other. So here, the fullness of grace still is active to self, and therefore it is of the utmost importance to remain as silent as possible. The infant, holding at his mother's breast, is a living illustration of our subject. It began to draw the milk by move its little lips. If its nourishment flows abundantly, it is content to swallow without effort. By any other course, it would only hurt itself, spill the milk, and be obliged to quit the breast. We must act in like manner in the beginning of prayer. By moving the lips of the affections, but as soon as the milk of divine grace flow freely, we have nothing to do but in stillness sweetly to imbibe it. And when it ceases to flow, again stir up the affection as the infant moves the lips. Whoever acts otherwise cannot make the best use of this grace, which is best to allure the soul into the repose of love, and not to force it into the multiplicity of self. 5. But what becomes a baby? But thus gently and without exertion drinks in the milk. Who would believe that it could thus receive nourishment? Yet the more peaceably it feeds, the more it thrives. What I say, because this infant, it drops asleep, its mother's bosom. So the soul that is tranquil and peaceful in prayer sinks frequently to a mystical slumber, wherein all its powers are at rest. It is wholly fitted for and state which enjoys this transient anticipations. You see, then in this process the soul is led naturally without trouble, effort, art, or study. The interior is not the stronghold to be taken by storm and violence, but the kingdom of peace, which is to be gained only by love. If any will just presume the little path that I pointed out will lead them to infused prayer, God demands nothing extraordinary, nor too difficult. On the contrary, He is greatly pleased by a simple and childlike conduct. 6. Most sublime attainments in religion are those which are easily reached, and the most necessary ordinances are the least difficult. It is It is also in natural things. If you would reach the sea, embark on the river, and you will become way to it insensibly and without exertion. Would you go to God, follow this sweet and simple path, and you arrive at the desired object with an ease and explanation that will amaze you. Oh, that you would but once make the trial. How soon would you find that all I've said is too little, and your own experience will carry you infinitely beyond it? What is it you fear? Why do you not instantly cast yourself into the arms of love, which only extend them on the cross, that it might embrace you? What risk do you run in depending solely on God and abandoning yourself wholly to Him? He will not deceive you, unless by pursuing abundance beyond your highest hopes. But those who expect all from themselves may hear this rebuke of God by His prophet Isaiah. Yet have wearied yourselves in the multiplicity of your ways, and have not said, let us rest in peace. I think it's Isaiah 29.